Welcome to the Superhero's Journey, Episode 1, a podcast where we talk mainly about superhero movies and TV shows with a bit of Star Wars and other things in the genre. My name is Carl Freemerman, and with me is my co-host, Brian Shores.
Hello.
And you can find us on Twitter at Superhero Journey, that's no E in super, and write to us at thesuperheroesjourney@gmail.com, where heroes is plural, not possessive. And as always, we'll be doing... we'll be talking about the news stories of the week, and we do a spoiler-filled discussion of the TV shows that we watch at the end of the podcast. So you've been warned. All right, Brian?
What's going on?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Today is, of course, I want to mention today is Mother's Day.
Yep, and we are both avoiding our mothers.
I texted my mother already, and I let her know that we're doing the podcast, and I'll talk to her later.
I gave my mom a card and Swedish fish.
There you go. I sent my mom something. She hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
But by the time this is out there, she will probably have had it.
Yeah.
Happy belated Mother's Day to anybody listening.
Yep. And just so I don't sound like a horrible son, I should explain that my family does not celebrate a Mother's Day or a Father's Day. We can do a combined Parents' Day somewhere in the middle, and my parents just avoid their children on the other days.
Dare to be different, right?
Exactly.
Dare to be different. I guess I'll just say something to my mother. Of course, I wouldn't be the man I am today without her. So, love you, Mom.
I feel as though without my mother, Carl would probably be about the same as he is. I would be much different. So thanks for everything, Mom.
All right. So with that, we'll start our topics. We got a lot of great news to talk about, I think, this week.
Yeah, great, and some somewhat indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, tons of TV news.
Oh yeah,
TV shows picked up.
Yeah, still waiting on to hear that one officially being canceled. Shield.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
If you haven't read.
Yeah. Oh, I might not have read.
I'll leave a little suspense in the air for you. Maybe people listening might know already. But all right. So the first thing I've got here, we've got there was a Deadpool animated TV series announced.
Yeah, which I think is going to be either really fun or completely gutted of everything that was good in the movie and will flop. But I think they've already greenlit a 10-episode run of like 4.
Yep, they've ordered 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It will be on FXX, which
Yep.
I have never watched. I think that's I guess FX second channel.
Yeah, or FX Extreme.
Yeah, whatever it
The
is.
only one that could be as epic to contain the awesomeness that is Deadpool.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's probably the more edgier network of theirs. They can do more, stuff that Deadpool, the little extreme.
Yeah.
I don't know how violent this show will be, but it's animated, so you probably get away with a lot.
I'm pretty sure at this point they can just point to South Park and be like, look, we're going to do that stuff just with superheroes. Not in like the, all the weird or like political satire that South Park's kind of been known for, but just the stuff like the pushing the envelope of saying like shit like 200 however many times in an episode.
Yeah.
Just to prove a point that it doesn't matter. But
And Donald Glover is actually going to be executive producer on this.
Yeah. Which
that's good.
Yeah, it could be fun.
People like him, I guess. We like him, I suppose.
Yeah, I enjoy him. I mean, his stand-up's good. I can't really speak much to, the Childish Gambino stuff.
Yeah, I don't know much about it.
Yeah, because it's not really my speed. But, I was a big fan of him from Community. I love that he voices Miles Morales on the Spider-Man cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a long time people wanted him to play Miles Morales, but he's obviously beyond that.
Yeah.
Although he's in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
And they think he might be playing a character related to Miles Morales, his uncle, right? Who has a part in the story. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like that.
So, yeah, with Deadpool, I mean, I hope it's good. I don't necessarily watch these animated shows that are really kind of companions to these movies.
Yeah, like I
feel like I should, but there's something about them that I just doesn't make me want to watch them.
Yeah, I watched a bunch.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of like the Avengers, like Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I thought
that was a good one.
That was fun. It was a little kiddie, but it was fun. The Spider-Man.
Like the Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah. Honestly, like I only gave that a shot because Scott Mosier, like the longtime producing partner of Kevin Smith, wrote a bunch of the episodes, and I'm a fan of his, and So I was like, I want to see his take on it, and like to his credit, it wasn't any different from any of the other episodes that I later went on to watch. But the show was still really fun, because before the Netflix shows came out, it gave us a chance to actually see a version of Iron Fist and Power Man, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah, there's also that Guardians of the Galaxy animated show, which
I've never seen.
I gave it a chance, and actually I liked it. It was just I just didn't watch it. Just whatever. It's cool because they do a lot of the other weird characters, like Cosmo's in it. And Cosmo, he's actually a character in it at times. So that's neat.
Yeah, I don't know, I just have a feeling with the Deadpool show, they're gonna fall. It's either gonna fall into like the trope of like they're going to try and make it like the Saturday morning cartoon, like the Men in Black cartoons, not in that where it's like tame, but where they just latch on to a couple like in jokes from the movie and they throw that into every episode until it gets like run into the ground, where like in the Men in Black show, where every time they were using like cover, they're like FBI Division 6, NSA Division 6.
We could, maybe it could be something along the lines of Archer.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the biggest fan of Archer, but everything I've seen, like, I've really enjoyed.
Do we think there's any chance that Ryan Reynolds voices?
I can't imagine.
It would be great.
Like, I could see them going back to Nolan North, who I think Nolan North was the one who did the voice on the for like the video games and like the few animated.
In that one Hulkverse thing.
Yeah.
Well, the Hulkverse Wolverine segment.
Yeah.
And Deadpool was in it, and he might have done the voice there as well.
I'm pretty sure.
Which was really good. I enjoyed that, so I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, like he's a really fun voice actor, really talented voice actor who does a lot of really fun stuff. So I'd be cool with it. I just hope that if he does do it, he's not just doing like an impression of Ryan Reynolds, because that, I don't know. I feel like at that point, just get Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, of course.
If they want to do that, I can't imagine him not doing it for how, and this is completely like an uneducated opinion, but like for how long he tried to get that movie made, for how much he talks about loving the character. I can't imagine him not doing it.
Sure, he seems like a guy who would be up for doing that, regardless of if it would be something an actor of his stature normally would do.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to imagine if in the 90s they were able to get Alex Winter, Keanu Reeves, and George Carlin to do the voices for the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures cartoons, they can get Ryan Reynolds to do the Deadpool.
Yeah, it's a different time now, though. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's move on, though, to
sure.
The next topic, the next piece of news. Judge Dredd, Mega City 1 TV series announced.
Yeah.
Now, I did a little research. It's going to be done by this company called I Am Global Television, who I have never heard of.
Don't they do? I might be confusing it, but don't they do? Or aren't they working with one of the I think they're one of the producers who does like a lot of the stuff with sci-fi. I think might have worked on like Battlestar and.
Well, no. I did a little research.
Okay.
And they have a bunch of shows in development.
Okay.
But they have only actually released ever one show called Ice.
Oh.
It's on some network called Audience.
Oh, so I'm way off, and I have no idea what any of that is.
Yeah, I feel like I needed to look into this because I saw this name and I'm like, I Am Global Television. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
I mean, with that in mind, I am a bit skeptical of this. It's not that I don't know the quality of their production, and they have a lot of stuff that they're working on right now. I don't know the priority of this show, how well it'll be done, but Judge Dredd is interesting. I'm interested in it. It's
I honestly I'm kind of indifferent because I didn't love the Stallone movie, and for however much I enjoy Carl Urban, there was nothing about it that actually got me to see the movie. So
Dredd movie, like some people really love that movie.
Yeah, there's a ravenous following.
Yeah, but it's good, but it's not anything overly special. Like it's a good, solid action movie.
Yeah. But
what it didn't do for me was that it didn't build the Dredd universe in any way.
Yeah.
So it just felt like you could have. He didn't have to be Judge Dredd. He could have been an original character.
Ricky the Space Cop.
There you go. And it would have been
Carl Urban and Ricky the Space Cop.
Exactly. And it would have been the same. And you know what? It would have done just as well, I bet, because
probably
it bombed in the box office.
Yeah. Even though, it does have that just like that huge following, and I don't know if it's like for camp value, if it's people that just love like the production design, because like
I don't know. It's getting a sort of cult following status, and that's because it is a good movie. So.
Yeah.
So enough on that one. We can go to Fox ordering the X-Men TV series. It's gonna be called The Gifted.
Yeah.
And this, I'm starting to get pretty interested in as I was reading about what's in it, who's in it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got now one of the stars is the only actor that I actually really know. Oh no, there's one other. Stephen Moyer, who played the lead vampire character in True Blood.
Yep.
Bill, who I actually liked him a lot. So
yeah,
I'm
I never
happy.
gave that show much of a chance.
Yeah. I don't know if I would tell anybody. Definitely go watch it, but
Yeah.
well, definitely watch the first season because the first season was excellent.
Yeah.
And from there, it's up to you if you really want to continue it. It does have a lot of good stuff in between, but it gets kind of wonky at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I tried giving it a couple episodes, and I was just like, yeah, this is a little too gratuitous and hick for me. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
it at its time,
Like, it was really well done. Like,
Oh, yeah.
but
it was definitely another take on vampire stuff that we really hadn't had at that time.
yeah.
So it's good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I do like because Amy Acker, I do know like her. She's playing his wife in the show,
Okay.
and she played Fred on Angel. She was also on. She's one of like Joss Whedon's like repertory actors.
Okay.
Where she was on Dollhouse, who played like I don't remember the doctor's name, her doctor character name, but she played a character named Whiskey on an early episode of Supernatural. So I really
Okay, so
enjoy her.
She's been around. She's been in a bunch of TV stuff.
Yeah.
So we got Jamie Chung is playing Blink,
Yeah.
and she's been in Hangover 2. She was in Sucker Punch, and she played Chi-Chi in that garbage Dragon Ball movie.
Never saw it.
Oh, do not ever watch that movie.
Like, well, I've never seen an episode of Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball Z or whatever, but there's nothing that would like inspire me to watch.
So, I mean, as a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, when I was a kid, I loved that show.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it. You should not watch it because it just bastardizes everything in the original. And if you're not a fan of it, also do not watch it.
Because you will love this and just learn to hate everything that is good about.
You will never give
traditional.
Dragon Ball a chance if you watch this. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not anything that you should watch at all.
Yeah.
So we also got characters appearing in this: Polaris, Thunderbird, and Eclipse. They mentioned, which I think is an original character.
Yeah, I'd never
I
heard
know
of
that
Eclipse before, but yeah, Thunderbird and Polaris along with Blink. I'm interested. I'm actually excited to see like.
Yeah, some cool powers. Blink we saw in the X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
And she was actually one of the more interesting
Yeah.
power sets that they
Yeah,
used.
I loved how they did the teleportation and how
Yeah.
they used it.
Definitely. I mean, that movie, that's one of the coolest effects I think in that movie, and one of the best used for the action sequences that you get in that
Oh
movie.
yeah, I think that was definitely like there was. I know, like in previous conversations, like we both I would have a tendency to kind of like shit on some of the X-Men movies, but I think we can both agree that opening to X-Men Days of Futures Past is some of the best X-Men.
The opening is one of the future fight sequences, right?
Yeah, where basically what we're talking about, where like Blink's opening like the like the teleport like
Yeah, I guess
portals
for
and,
those who don't know, maybe haven't seen it, the effect, it's she kind of almost throws like an energy
little-
thing up that creates this portal in the middle of the air that she can then, I guess, make another point somewhere else where anything that goes through it comes out at that other side.
yeah.
Just
It's
like
I guess it's essentially like having like a biological portal gun.
right, yeah, like from the Portal
Yeah.
game, which is a good game, very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that effect was just the way that they like throw people through it. She would put it in front of the enemies so they would go through it, not be able to get to them. It was very cool.
Yeah. Even though like I kind of feel like she could have beaten all of the Sentinels by just like opening a portal like an inch like in front of itself, like right in front of the Sentinel, so all it's doing is just looping, like it can't get out. Just kind of leave him there.
We don't want to break reality here, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Movie physics is where it's grounded.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's not get ridiculous.
Yeah, right. I mean, the things with those movies is that you like the X-Men movies. I really think they don't think a lot about how these powers would happen or affect the real world.
Yeah.
And even how you would use them effectively. Like they do some cool things sometimes, but that's something that they've done with other characters. Like you wonder why Magneto doesn't do certain things, or then he does things that, especially in that movie, he does things that he should not be able to do.
Yeah, they play kind of fast and loose with suspension of disbelief. Mm-hmm. Where I think, like I'm totally cool with suspension of disbelief. Like where, early on in the movie, they do something where they just set up like, okay, these are the rules that exist in the, for, this set of something, that's impossible. Everything else is gonna be the real world. It's how you can it's how you can watch like a Superman movie and be totally cool with him flying, but then he catches but then he'll do something where that involves, I guess Superman Returns is a perfect example where you totally buy that he can fly and do all these impossible things, but you don't buy the fact that Lois Lane, who's not like buckled into her seat in the airplane, is getting slammed against the ceiling and the floor, and she has no broken bones or bruises at the end. And you're like, I don't buy that. That's kind of bullshit. It's where they just it's where a lot of movies and TV fail. With like the suspension of disbelief, where they're like, okay, we're gonna tell you that this impossible thing exists, but then everything else is normal. And that's where it's jarring.
Yeah, it does the typical action movie stuff where they don't bother to even think about how the physics would affect that situation.
Yeah.
But they have the superpowers, and sometimes they do try to make you believe that.
Yeah.
You can't believe the real world stuff. Yeah, that's a big problem for sure. That's one thing that I always look for, and one thing that bothers me a lot of times is that you have to make the movie and the effects and the powers and abilities of characters believable in the context of that world.
Exactly.
So you can give me something that's totally fake and nonsense, like Magneto controlling metal, but there has to be rules to it in the movies.
Yeah, and that's where I think.
Actually, one example with him is that he in X-Men Days of Future Past, at one point when he laces the Sentinels with the metal.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm thinking, like, how does he doesn't know what's inside those things. So he can't see where he's putting that stuff. He wouldn't know what to do. He's also not, an engineer. He doesn't know how to reprogram these machines by just putting metal in them in certain places. So.
Yeah, that's why I think it would have been a lot better if it went the route of, and like, I guess it's not as like visually exciting, but if it just went the route of basically just putting like armature wire, in the arms and legs of the Sentinels, where he just basically takes like steel rods and like shoves it in, this section of the arm and this section of the arm and the legs and the torso and the head, and then like maybe you just see it like wrap around like the trigger mechanism of a gun, which is all stuff that you could kind of expect him just recognize.
Something that you could wrap your head around, that like anybody could figure out. That's a simple thing you can pull off.
And then you have Magneto basically using them as puppets where he's like, okay, I can now move this arm. He's not doing any rewiring or anything.
Now, and hopefully, getting back to the show, The Gifted, Polaris is essentially Magneto. She has basically the same power set.
Yeah, and depending on the continuity, his daughter.
I don't think they'll do that in this.
Yeah.
Of course, because I doubt this will be in any continuity, as is all the X-Men Fox stuff. But you never know.
I would actually like it if they, and again, not really knowing much anything beyond like that couple second teaser. Like I would like it if it was maybe in the same universe as Legion, which I still have to finish, but because then you're essentially, if they do go that route, then you're essentially have spoilers, Xavier's son and Magneto's daughter in the same universe, which would be kind of cool.
It would be great. Legion was excellent. I really enjoyed that show a lot. But it also showed that you don't know what time period it takes place in.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge if they, and the same thing with Gifted, we don't know yet, but if it's in modern times, I would say that they're not the same because that Legion does not look like it takes place in modern day. So
Yeah, and Gifted, I mean, from what little you see, it does look pretty contemporary. Like,
yeah, so it could be. I would like that. At least it would be nice if they had, maybe a TV continuity. Because you can screw everything that's happening in the movies because there's obviously no continuity in any of that at this point.
no, which was so disappointing because arguably I think the best X-Men movie was First Class, and that gave me a lot of hope for where these movies were going, because the first X-Men movie was really fun, but I was also like 17 when it came out, and I was like, look, Wolverine has claws and he cut that gun in half. That's totally awesome. I wish I could do that. Which in the real world, if I had those Wolverine claws, I wouldn't be going around killing people. I don't know why I would have thought that was awesome. But
because it just looks cool.
It just looks cool, yeah.
Every kid's fantasy is to have weapons that come out of them some point of their body.
I think it's just having weapons.
Yeah, right. Just having weapons in general.
Yeah. But
okay, so the next one actually was a surprise, actually, for me, even though there was a lot of talk about it. But the network choosing it, CW actually ordered the Black Lightning TV series.
Yeah, because wasn't there talk that was going to be on Fox for a while?
At least some other networks. I don't remember which one. So I was surprised, but I mean, of course, it always makes sense to add more to the CW, DC shows. This says it's going to be 2017-2018 season, so we're going to get it, I guess, by the end of the year.
I mean, I could see them doing with that maybe like what they were doing with Legends. If it's not in fall, then I could see them doing what they did with Legends, where it's like the mid-season replacement kind of thing.
Now, I really wonder if they're going to put this in any sort of context of that universe. Is it gonna be in the Arrow Flash universe, or is it gonna be maybe the Supergirl's universe, which would probably make more sense?
Yeah, I would hope that it would be in one of the joint universes, but seeing how they already have 3 shows in the Arrowverse, because it was the one that came first, even though Flash is the best show,
right?
The best show of
for
the
sure.
4, or the 4. I think it would make a lot more sense for that to be in the Supergirl, because they already have, like well-established superheroes and really like crazy outlandish powers.
Let me get into a little bit of the details. We'll see why that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So the actor they chose for the lead character, his name is Cress Williams, who, of course, I don't know, but his character is Jefferson Pierce, Black Lightning. He's been on a lot of TV shows in the past. He's been on ER, Grey's Anatomy, Prison Break, Friday Night Lights, Heart of Dixie, and Code Black.
I've seen one of those.
I've seen none. No, I saw first season of Prison Break, so I don't
Prison
know.
Break's the only one.
But I don't know if he was in the first season or not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah.
But he obviously has a lot of experience.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. Now, he's 47 years old.
Yeah.
And the character is supposed to be a hero that used to be a hero but retired in some way, and now he's coming back for whatever reason, and he's going to be Black Lightning again.
Yeah.
Which is why I say it doesn't fit into Arrow Flashverse, because, I mean, I guess you could say he existed somewhere, but that universe seems like there weren't any superheroes until these guys were really around.
Yeah, I mean, they did do...
I guess you
unless he's in the...
Legends.
Or...
They talked about that JSA.
Yeah, he could...
From the past.
I guess he's a little young to be JSA, but, like...
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, unless he's, from, like, yet another universe we've never seen, like, with Jay Garrick, but...
Right, but now in Supergirl's universe, it would be fine, because there's Superman, Supergirl, well-known superheroes.
Yeah.
And...
Martian Manhunter is bombing around for a while. And...
Yeah, so there's no reason that there couldn't have been a superhero at another point who retired.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. And then the show, some of the series regulars include his 2 daughters and his ex-wife. So the show's already been cast. I imagine they're going to start working on it very soon.
Yeah. I look forward to, midsummer seeing that the pilot was leaked.
Yeah, right? I don't know any of these actresses that are playing these characters, but I did look them up, and they have a pretty long history of being on other TV shows. So it looks like there is a good amount of talent there.
Yeah.
The ex-wife was on S.H.I.E.L.D. She was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in a few episodes.
Yeah.
When I looked her up, I did remember her, but the character has been gone for a while now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see how that goes. One of the things, an idea I had that I thought will probably something that happens with this show is that we'll get Static Shock, and he'll be like the Kid Flash of this show.
I mean, it's very likely. My first thought was we're getting so close to having the Super Friends live action.
I
Because
mean, they could, maybe they'll do that. I mean, they mentioned Super Friends in that
yeah,
musical episode.
yeah, I like, and this is just me, just being like a dopey fanboy, but I'd love it if like, maybe not as racially insensitive as it was in like the 60s and 70s when they were doing Challenge of the Super Friends, but like, where you actually get like Apache Chief, only maybe not have him like go like, like 80 feet tall, but just have him turn into like, like a giant, very similar to what they were doing with Adam Smash, or maybe like have him get to that tall, and have him be like one of his old friends and like show up in an episode or something. Um, like,
Yeah, there's that would be good because he's an older hero. You can say he was, had a team, maybe teamed up with other heroes in the past.
yeah,
You could do that.
yeah, I think that would be really fun, like kind of what they, oh man, and you could finally bring in the Wonder Twins and then Wendy and Marvin. Nah, I'm just ruining it, but like,
Hey,
yeah,
why not? Look, what other characters are you gonna put in this universe? Because I don't know this character, and as far as I've read, I don't think there's a rich history of supporting characters for Black Lightning or even villains for Black Lightning.
yeah,
So they will obviously be pulling from other DC properties as they've done with
yeah,
Flash and Arrow.
and like for how little familiarity I have with Black Lightning, who I think was Black Vulcan in Super Friends, like I completely trust what Andrew Kreisberg and Greg Berlanti and and whoever they're putting in charge of that show. I trust them to do something that I like, because even like Arrow at its worst, like I still have not dropped that show. Like I'm still invested in it.
Oh, I want to drop that show.
Yeah, I know you do.
I would love to
But
drop that
it's
show.
too tightly ingrained in the others.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get to that, I guess, when we talk about Arrow later.
Yeah.
So next we've got Sci-Fi ordering the Krypton show to series, so
Yeah.
that's gonna happen. There's I don't really know most of these actors. One of them I keyed onto was this guy Ian McElhenney, who plays Barristan Selmy in Game of Thrones. You don't watch Game of Thrones, but that character he's a cool character in that.
Yeah.
He's one of the Kingsguard. He's like the older Kingsguard knight who's like was one of the best swordsmen in the history of that show. He's playing Val-El, who's the grandfather of Seg-El, who is the lead character of the show. That's Superman's grandfather.
Yeah, so just go as far back, just they're like, okay, what was the thing that everybody loved about Star Wars? Prequels. Okay.
I mean, this is what
Yeah.
they've been doing. This has been the bad side of DC television. Now I know
Yeah.
Smallville started off well, and eventually, wasn't as good. But that happened because they essentially weren't really allowed to do a Superman show, and
Yeah.
these Arrow and Flash shows, just for whatever reason, they didn't do them at that time because
Yeah.
it wasn't. I guess the superhero thing wasn't big enough yet to do one of these smaller known characters.
Yeah. I don't
And
know. Yeah.
we also have Gotham in that same vein, which is another prequel show, and all of these are to me the worst shows of this genre because they aren't allowed to do the things that we want to see, and they're restricted in a lot of ways.
Yeah, my first thought when I heard that read that they ordered Krypton to like a full season, my first thought was, please find a way to tie this into the Gotham universe. I don't watch Gotham. I do not enjoy Gotham, but it just makes some weird sense to me that these shows are tied together. Maybe do the the crappy thing they did on Smallville, where Kryptonians have like an arc where they can just like teleport to Earth and just kind of like go bombing around. And
I mean, we don't want to wish ill on this show right away,
Yeah,
do we?
we do.
Because
it's
tying it to Gotham would just be one of the worst things you could do.
yeah, but they're taking Kryptonians and taking away the most interesting thing about them, which is their superpowers. Because otherwise, they're just going to be like this weird, like, dystopian, or not even like dystopian, but just, because they're not like, as far as I know or heard, like, they're not like war torn or anything like that.
Yeah,
But it's just very sterile. So it's just going to be like, unless it's before, they kind of created like this, like that Vulcan-like society.
Yeah, I did read something. I don't remember the quote or what it was saying, that it's a possibility it could be actually in the DC movie universe, which again it would be fine because it takes place so far in the past that it would never affect anything, but it would restrict certain characters if they want to bring in weird things. They want to do Doomsday in some way, which I feel they should, because Doomsday does have a history.
Yeah, I mean, like
in Krypton.
Well, yeah, it was like Doomsday, I guess, was the original inhabitant of the planet that would eventually become Krypton. Where like he was like a baby that was left on the planet to, basically to fend for itself, and every time it died, it was brought back to life with the knowledge and a different way to survive how it was killed and live for like
like they
thousands of
kept
years.
using it to evolve it.
Yeah.
To be more resilient to whatever had defeated or killed it before.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, though, we already got the perfect Doomsday on screen, and it was General Zod.
It was General Zod.
Yeah.
It was it was Bizarro Zod Doomsday guy. Who was a really ugly Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, it was just, oh god, everything about it was just bad.
Let's not get into that too much. We could talk a while about how bad that movie was. But...
No, I was feeling happy for a moment. Let's take that away from me.
But the show, there's these characters that are going to be related to everyone. We're going to have like a Zod character, the Zod family characters, and obviously those families are probably going to hate each other. Who knows? Maybe we'll get like a Romeo and Juliet type thing happening. I could see that.
Yeah, where there's like the daughter of the House of Zod is like, she's against how her family's running things in the military, and she's like, no, I want to just feel joy and paint and, like science things that UL people are doing.
Yeah, but I certainly don't know enough about DC comic history if they ever go into too much of the past, the grandfather of Clark Kent, and if they elaborate on that world at all, that universe of what Krypton dealt with or what they were like, and in that time period.
The only stuff that I know that they had like like a planet. I think they had a Planet Krypton comic, but I think it maybe like focused on like just stuff around Krypton, maybe Jor-El before Superman was born. I never really cared to read it. The most that I ever read with it was in Starman. They did a story arc where Jack Knight went back in time to ancient Krypton. Mm-hmm. That was fun, but
yeah, and I'm sure we'll get Phantom Zone stuff, of course.
Yeah,
I really hope we get space travel. I don't want them to stay only on Krypton. I would like them to go.
But it's called Krypton, Carl.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't matter. They're a spacefaring race. There's no reason why they shouldn't be going. There should be other planets involved as well. Like in Supergirl, they always talk about Daxam being at like kind of at war almost, but not really war. But they're at odds with each other. They don't like each other. And it would be cool if we had that dynamic somewhere in this show.
Yeah. I mean, like there's a lot that they could do with it, but I have a feeling that all of the interesting things they're gonna do with the show would be completely incidental to it being Krypton. Like I have a feeling if they're gonna do, like, let's say they do like a season arc where it's about like the war between Krypton and Daxam, you could literally put that anywhere else and just say like, okay, it's future Earth and future Jupiter, where Jupiter's a gas giant, so it's not like a good example where it's just like, but
it would be a unique idea. I mean, I don't know, planets at war with each other. We don't really see that anywhere else. Maybe some other sci-fi show I've not watched.
Battlestar
Galactica. Who knows?
Which was a great show. Yeah.
That's another thing. This is a sci-fi show. Will this be good? Battlestar Galactica is the really only well-known, considered very good sci-fi network show, as far as I can think of.
Yeah, there were a few that I really enjoyed, like Warehouse 13. Mm-hmm. Like I really enjoyed. I've highly recommended many times.
Alphas, I really liked Alphas.
Yeah,
I was very sad that we didn't get to continue that cliffhanger where they left us off on. It was it 2 seasons, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 2 seasons. Yeah. But I think I think the shows are very polarizing. You know, it's either you love them or hate them, and I have a feeling that it's going to be more so on the hate them side for Krypton. Because I mean, we've said in the past, like I like superheroes. Like I want to watch it with superheroes.
And
What actually
are there
would be,
superheroes in this show?
now?
I
This
don't
is
think
what
so.
this is what my genuine hope is for the show, because I think this would be really, really awesome. I don't think they're gonna do it because I think they have the license like tied up elsewhere. But I would love for them to get into the Kryptonian legend of Nightwing.
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, it's where Dick Grayson got the name Nightwing for. Where there was Nightwing
I
and
find that hard to believe.
no, this is 100%.
This sounds like a retcon.
No. Superman and Jimmy Olsen back in the '60s when they would go into Kandor, they would fight. They would fight crime in Kandor as Nightwing and Flamebird. And this was in the '60s. Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing was the retcon. So there was basically the short version is there was a Kryptonian who got basically kicked out of his like prominent family just for not like I think it was just for like not conforming, and he struck out on his own, you know, and then like disguised himself and fought crime as Nightwing, you know, and I think that would be really cool if that's
Did he have gadgets?
yeah he was he was basically the Batman of Krypton.
Batman. Okay.
Yeah,
But
and,
yeah,
like,
you know what? Why not?
hey, dude, like,
What else do we got in this show? As far as we
literally
know?
nothing.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's really because the thing with Kryptonians that always bothers me is I don't really know what makes them special beyond the fact that when they go to Earth under the radiation of a yellow sun, they get superpowers.
Unless they're going the original Kryptonian route where like they had just evolved to be, you know, where everybody just had those powers and it wasn't because of the yellow sun, it was just because that's just how their bodies formed due to like Krypton's like immense gravity.
Well, I guess either we'll learn something or we'll hate it. So,
Or they cancel it after the pilot is like focus grouped and like, oh, this is not good.
well, it's ordered as a series, so I think we're gonna get at least
Oh yeah, no, we'll get
part
there.
of a season.
Yeah,
So
part of the season and then a Netflix release.
So now we've got some movie news.
All right.
Hellboy coming back, reboot.
Yeah, I don't know where I sit on this. Like,
I'm okay. So there's some interesting stuff about it. The people and the things working, or the actor that they chose for it, it has me interested. It's gonna be rated R. They're saying.
yeah,
So that's definitely gonna differentiate it from the original because the other one was
I think
it was dark, but it was also fun and,
Yeah.
and colorful. So this is going to be directed by Neil Marshall, who he did The Descent, which I didn't see.
no,
That's that movie.
the Spelunky movie. I think.
Yeah, in the caves and some
Yeah.
sort of monster type thing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be good. Centurion, which I did like. Actually, that's with Fassbender. It's not a well-known movie.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
But I enjoyed that one. And then Doomsday. Both these movies are like not really well received, but they're sort of in the middle. People, they're very mixed reviews on these. But Doomsday I thought was an interesting movie. I don't know if you remember that one. It's one of those like apocalyptic zombie type scenarios. There was somewhere in Europe, and they walled off like this area that had this zombie type virus, and they just left them. And they're like you guys can live in your weird post-apocalyptic world because we have no cure for this. So, good luck.
Yeah.
And then there was this crazy action movie. There was a scene with a Bentley that's really cool. They get this like one of those sporty looking Bentleys, and there's some cool action in it. So, I'm interested in what this guy's done. He's also directed a few episodes of like one or two of Black Sails, Game of Thrones, Hannibal, and Westworld.
Okay.
So that's some good pedigree there. He's
Yeah.
got experience, so that's something to look forward to. Hellboy will be played by David Harbour, who recently is best known as the police chief in the Stranger Things Netflix series.
Yeah.
I liked him. I thought he was good in that. He
Yeah.
was also in The Newsroom, HBO show.
Yeah.
Another great show. I really, really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I never finished the second season, but for no reason. Like, I very much enjoy that show.
Well, then go there. First of all, there are 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So you need to go back because you didn't even get through half the show.
Yeah.
The third season is actually shorter than
Actually,
the
I
other
got
2.
through exactly half the show.
Well, the third season was shorter, so
So I got through more than half the show.
depends on how far you got. Yeah.
Halfway through the second season.
Yeah.
You're losing this one, Carl.
I might be. But look, it's an excellent show, and
It
you're
is.
losing because you didn't watch it all.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So, on that, this Hellboy reboot, I mean, it's exciting because the first 2 Hellboy movies were good movies.
Yeah.
I
loved
wanted
them.
I wanted more.
Yeah.
And Guillermo del Toro was probably a large part of why those movies were so good and why the aesthetic of that movie was so interesting. But
Yeah, I think the first Hellboy movie was very important, even if there are people out there that didn't like it, which I mean, yeah, it's not for everyone, I guess, but it kind of is because it had a little of everything that you would look for in a movie, basically like put in like a very genre light. But the thing that I loved about it the most, because I when it was first announced, I really wasn't looking forward to it because I love the Hellboy comics. Seed of Destruction is one that I'll, I pick up maybe like every other year and I'll just read through it again.
That's great. I haven't read any of Hellboy.
Dude, I highly recommend it. Like I like Seed of Destruction, and like I keep it on my phone, like just flip through every once in a while.
Okay.
But legally purchased, of course. But
None of that. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Moving on.
moving on, dude. I've bought like I have the trade, I have the hardcover, I have the art books, like so I feel. It's a backup.
You're allowed, yeah.
I'm allowed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Let's go with that.
yeah. But I really wasn't looking forward to the original like Ron Perlman because I'm like, because I'm going from like all of these other, comic book movies that don't get it right, and I was like, it doesn't look anything like the comic, and like the story, I'm like, it doesn't match, and all this, and then I watched the movie, and I was right because it was like this doesn't really look like the comic and the story doesn't match, but it has the feel of the comic. Mm-hmm. Like it was definitely made by somebody who loved the character, loved the story, loved the comics, and understood like what made it good, in Guillermo del Toro, and him bringing his aesthetic into it mixed with like Mike Mignola coming in to I think he did some production design. Mm-hmm. It just fit, and I think that was a really important movie because I don't think you get a lot of the stuff that we have now that actually takes the comic properties seriously for the more ridiculous stuff. And
yeah, I mean, this movie I feel was a little ahead of its time. Both of those movies.
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
They're a lot like the MCU, the
Mm-hmm.
Marvel movies that are out now. They're not exactly like the comics, but they definitely get the spirit of the character right.
Oh yeah,
And they do it in a fun way, but also are serious. So they have that mix that you can get all different types of people to like this.
yeah.
And I guess just it was early, and some of the effects, of course, are not as good because it's an older movie. I forgot what year that is, but
Yeah, but I don't think.
But all the practical stuff looks great. The
Yeah.
costume, like the look of it. So
Yeah, I mean, like and especially like getting like Ron Perlman as Hellboy and Doug Jones as Abe Sapien, and bringing in David Hyde Pierce to do Abe Sapien's voice, and Selma Blair as Liz. I just like. I want to watch the movie again now.
yeah, it's definitely something that I would watch again.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a little skeptical, but I'm kind of excited about being skeptical.
Clockwork, like sand villain guy,
Yeah.
whatever he was. Awesome, I loved it.
Yeah, no, it was everything about it. Just worked, and it was very right. So, and that's why I'm kind of excited about having the same skepticism about this that I had about the original.
Okay.
Where instead of with the original I was comparing to the comic, now this one I'm comparing to the original movie. Mm-hmm. So, I can go in with like less than no expectations, so I can be, delighted if it's good, and I can feel justified if it's terrible. And
yeah, but I'm definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah.
More Hellboy is a good thing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like especially just because I even enjoyed the animated the Hellboy animated movies that
Okay.
they did with the same cast. You know,
Oh, that
doing
was good.
voice.
Yeah, I never checked it out.
Yeah,
But,
no,
all right.
they're definitely worth checking out because it looks like the comic art with the acting from the movie was great.
All right. So let's move on to the next bit. We have some casting news for the New Mutants movie. And
Movie or series?
no, the movie.
Oh, okay.
This is a movie.
Dude, I keep on confusing that with Runaways.
Runaways. Or, yeah, that. They're not mutants. Runaways.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of them might be in the comics, but
Yeah,
either way.
yeah.
So New Mutants. Yeah, it's a spin-off movie in the X-Men
Mhm.
universe franchise. I don't know if this is going to tie into any of the other movies out there. I hope it's in the Deadpool timeline somehow.
Yeah.
But either way, we get Maisie Williams is now confirmed as
Wolfsbane.
Wolfsbane.
Perfect casting.
Yeah, it's from Game of Thrones. Everybody has been
Yeah.
saying this is the
And
one.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, this has been rumored, so everybody's getting what they want. We'll see. I mean, I
Yeah.
like her in Game of Thrones, but
She's a great actress, and she looks like Rain.
don't know that she's a great actress because she's very young, and Game of Thrones is really her only credit. I mean, she's probably been in some other things, but I don't know. A lot of these Game of Thrones actors have been getting work, and the older ones are obviously good. The ones who've been doing other things, but the younger ones, also in X-Men Apocalypse, we had Sophie Turner,
Yeah.
who was from Game of Thrones, and I'm not so sure how good of an actress she really is. I didn't get a lot from her from that performance, but
No.
people love her in Game of Thrones.
She also didn't do
So-
a lot in X-Men.
Right, she didn't
But-
have a lot to do. But we're getting a lot of this show, Game of Thrones, is so popular that any actor or actress in that people want to see.
Yeah.
And they're bankable stars right now, whether they're good or not. Because they're giving a good performance in a great show.
Yeah, well, because as you mentioned earlier, I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I have no metric off that show to judge how people are from that show. So my only exposure to Maisie Williams is she did, I think, 3 episodes of Doctor Who, which is a show
Okay.
that I'm a huge fan of, and she was very good in that show because because the show is kind of all over the place. The character she played each time. No, she might have done 4 episodes.
Well, that's
She
not
had
that important.
It is. No, well, the reason why it is because her character changed significantly through each.
Did she play a different personality for some reason?
It was
or
a very
something happened to her?
It was a very evolved personality. Basically, what happened was
So she had a good arc across a couple episodes.
Yeah, where essentially what it was is she was in medieval Scotland, and she was killed, and the doctor had alien technology that brought her back to life, but it made her immortal. And so it was throughout that season he caught up with her.
Right in the superhero wheelhouse, right?
Yep, exactly. And he caught up with her a few times throughout that series, and each time her character had evolved and changed. And,
because she's immortal, so she's been living so long. Okay.
Yeah, so a couple hundred years,
Yeah.
and and it was very much identifiable as the same character, but you can see that for someone so young, she was playing it very kind of wise and mature, and and how it changed. So I actually do have a lot of faith.
That's great to hear. I mean, not that I'm saying I don't like her in Game of Thrones, but it's hard to look at one performance and definitely determine that actor or actress is a good actor or actress.
Yeah.
But you can definitely say that she can act pretty well in that show.
Yeah.
So.
But also for her playing Rain Sinclair though,
Now,
it was a very innocent, naive and reserved character, which is which might be maybe more. I don't know shit about
so you
acting.
said she was from Scotland in that show. Did she have an accent?
I think it came and went.
Okay, because this character is, I believe, Scottish also, Wolfsbane. But I know she's not Scottish. As far as I looked up, she's from England.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they. I mean, I would like them to do an accent. I think it adds to the character when you have characters that obviously sound like they're not all Americans. You don't want everybody to have to be an American in this in all these universes. I was disappointed in Avengers that Black Widow never once had a Russian accent.
She did once. And
The accent, or did she spoke Russian?
she spoke Russian
Right.
in a Russian accent.
Wait, how do you speak Russian in a Russian accent?
Like by pronunciation, like you can. It's a difference.
She was speaking the Russian language, right? You're saying, or no?
Both, like, okay, because it's a. I don't know any Russian to like use an example, but it's the difference between saying bonjour, which is saying bonjour with an American accent,
Right.
and then pronouncing the word with a French accent.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
But it's never really established in the MCU that her Russian heritage. Like, you know that she was a Russian spy, but at least at some point they should have had her speaking Russian, but also speaking English with that typical Russian accent, just for you to show that she could just say, "Look, I'm a spy, so I just had to practice to speak in an American accent," and I would be like, "I bought it, fine, that's all I needed." But we never got that. So it's one thing about the MCU that always kind of bothered me, because that character just feels like she's just an American.
Yeah. And I think, Iron Man 2 would have been the perfect place to bring that in, because you already have Whiplash, coming in,
right?
From Russia.
Yeah, I mean, when she first met him, she could have spoken with an accent.
Yeah.
And then later dropped it with that explanation I just gave. But anyway, let's also talk about, there is the other casting. You have Anya Taylor-Joy playing Magic.
Okay.
And she was in Split recently. I saw that, and I liked that movie, and I enjoyed her. I thought she was very good in that movie.
Who was she? She's
the main girl. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She's also in The Witch, which I didn't watch, but
The Vivitch.
Yes, with a weird double V instead of a W.
Yes, the Vivitch. You're pronouncing it wrong.
Thank you for correcting me, Brian.
Yeah, no problem.
And that movie I didn't see either, but it got great reviews, and it's something I would like to watch at some point.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be good in that. That's cool. I like that casting. Magic is, maybe you know more about this character. She's Colossus' sister.
Yeah.
Also should be speaking in a Russian accent. Please try at least.
And that's what I was going to say, is that actually lends some credibility to the fact that this might be in the Deadpool universe, because Colossus, because Colossus is already much more established in that than the other.
And he did the accent.
Yeah, he did do the accent.
So if she is defined as his sister, she has to do it because he did it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Unless she was adopted.
Let's not do that. Let's not do the fantastic nonsense. Okay.
I was okay with it.
No, it was so poorly done.
Not everything in the movie was horrible.
Oh, nearly everything.
Most of it.
Yeah, nearly everything. The basic concept wasn't horrible. But
yeah. I mean, we don't need to get into.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds on that one there.
Yeah. Let's just agree that Doctor Doom was the thing that ruined everything about that movie.
I mean, Doctor Doom has ruined every Fantastic Four movie. Yeah. So,
except for the Roger Corman one.
Yeah, no, because that was perfect Doctor Doom. Because as cheesy as it was, I love that because he had the mask, so you couldn't see his face when he's speaking, so he's using his hands a lot. He's doing a lot of gestures, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I love it.
He's doing the Italian sign language.
Yeah. So also for New Mutants, it's going to be a 2018 movie. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. I mean, I imagine they're going to have to start filming very soon. Yeah. Casting is obviously underway. We'll probably hear more news of that soon.
Yeah, I really hope that that they bring in Sunspot and especially Cannonball.
So expected in this movie, I don't know if these are 100% confirmed, but this is what's out there right now. Moonstar, Sunspot, Cannonball, and Warlock. Is that supposedly the team?
Yeah.
I don't know Warlock. Cannonball's cool. I like that character. Sunspot. Yep. He's kind of a Human Torch type.
Kind of without the heat, where he just channels the sun, the sun's radiation or whatever, into super strength and I think limited vulnerability and flight.
Okay.
But he doesn't. I don't think he has or at least not in the the original New Mutants comics that I read. I don't think he ever had the flame powers, but it looks like it. But he was in that opening sequence of Days of Future Past, so that was pretty rad.
Not remembering. Okay.
Yep.
But so Cannonball is an interesting. I like the look of his power that he
Yeah.
sort of like rockets himself
Yeah.
with. I don't know where that it looks like energy flame comes out of nowhere for him,
Yeah.
but his legs sort of become like the tail end of a rocket as he's shooting around.
Yeah. Like,
It looks cool on paper. I wonder how they'll do that.
yeah, Sam Guthrie, like, he, for almost no reason, has for a very long time been like my favorite like X-Men character. Like, and they've, in the past they've done some really cool stuff with him. Like there was like one Christmas issue of the X-Men where like he actually took out a member of like the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, and where like he channeled like all of the concussive force that he uses like to rocket himself like into his fist and just like knocks him out. And there's this great scene where like Beast like sees it and goes up to him. He's like, "How long's that been in your repertoire?" He's like, "I don't know, like 10 seconds." It was like a last ditch thing. It was like, it's like cheesy, but it's also like a really great comic moment.
Yeah, I like
But,
that.
Yeah.
That definitely gives him some personality.
Yeah.
So I expect, after seeing these two casting choices, I expect to see other more up and comers. I like that.
Yeah.
People that
Can't
definitely.
wait to see who else from Game of Thrones is.
Oh, for sure. We'll definitely get some more.
Yeah.
They're out there in everything you see now. Everywhere you go, you're like, oh, that guy was in Game of Thrones. I was watching Downton Abbey with my fiance Mandy,
Yeah.
and there every once in a while I'm like, oh, that guy was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. No, I found it's true with most shows that are like that have like British production, is they just reuse cast, like, because it's the same thing. Like, I'm a huge like Doctor Who fan, and you're just watching him like, yeah, he was in Doctor Who. Okay, he actually played the Doctor. Okay, yep, he was the companion. And
they're definitely good actors. All these British actors that they're choosing, they're reusing, and there's a reason they get reused.
oh yeah,
So
and it's not just because there's 20 of them. There's like 25,
yeah, right.
But you only see the 20.
There's definitely not as many as we have
Yeah.
in America here. We have
No.
an overabundance of
Yeah.
actors who are all trying to be the next big thing,
Yeah.
and many of them fail.
Yep.
And rightfully so.
Exactly.
Like what's his name from Twilight?
Taylor Lautner.
Taylor Lautner. Thank God that guy did not become a star.
No,
They
but
tried. They did. He had his own movie. He
Yeah.
was the lead, and oh man.
Yeah, but there was a time, and without actually having seen any of his acting, because like I haven't seen any of the Twilight. Like I think I tried watching like a Riff Tracks version of the first Twilight, and I just couldn't do it. There was a time where just for the look and like just like I think I saw him on SNL where he was talking about being a martial artist and stuff. I was like, okay, this is my head casting for a live action Batman Beyond. Him is Terry McGinnis because they could get him. He's got the star power. He could actually get the movie happening. And then Clint Eastwood as old Bruce Wayne. That's what I want. That's what I thought they could do. Now I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, for sure.
But, it could have been something.
No, we definitely want that movie to happen one day. Batman Beyond movie would be amazing. They need to do something with the Batman Beyond property.
Yeah.
And I would so much be happier if they announced a Batman Beyond movie over half of the DC cinematic universe movies that they've said they're working on at this point.
It'd be really awesome for them to do. And this would be like a ways off, like in 20 or 30 years. Get either Christian Bale or Ben Affleck to come back as like somebody in their 60s or 70s and play old Bruce Wayne, old like retired Bruce Wayne training the new Batman.
Yeah.
I would wait the 20, 30 years for that. Like that would be awesome.
It'd be good. I mean,
or you could just have Clint Eastwood do it right now.
Yeah, right. Or you could have why did I forget his name? Birdman, Vulture.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton do it because he's already old at this point.
Yeah, I mean not old enough, but another like 10 years.
He's old enough, definitely. They do him up with makeup, make him look pretty good in
he's
the movies he's in now, but he's up there.
He's pushing 60 maybe.
Probably, yeah.
That's not old.
And they can just make him look older too.
Yeah.
It's not like he can't play a little older because they just do no makeup and then he'll look old. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He will. So let's see, what else do we got here? So okay, I alluded to this earlier. Shield, Gotham, and all the CWDC shows were renewed.
It's just so disappointing for two of those.
For Gotham, at least.
And Shield.
Don't throw shade at Shield, okay?
Dude, it's just
You
not...
admitted that you did enjoy the show at one point.
Yeah, and I still stand by it. The first season was great.
Actually, the first season's not that great. The first season is... half of it is actually kind of weak.
Carl, I'm starting to realize something about you.
And what's
And
that?
I don't think you know what the word great means.
There's a lot of interpretations.
Maybe
right?
we're agreeing on this whole time. Do you think great is good or bad? Because if you think it's bad, then we need to work on your education, but also it answers so many questions
but
about...
it's bad as in good, you know? Like that slang way.
This is not the mid-90s.
Look, the Shield is a show that has only gotten better. Every season, in my opinion, has gotten better than the last. So I'm excited for another fifth season on that one.
I don't know. See, I liked it a lot more when the show was just like a lot more intimate about just like a smaller team, and there was, I feel like there was
cut out a few characters, and this season has focused mostly on a smaller cast.
But I feel like there was how they ramped it up. I think was very jarring on how it went from like, okay, it's okay, we got like our core team, you got your eggheads and the field team, and the expert, you have like the experts and whatever you want to call May. I thought the dynamic that all of them had together was great. I think them then just like the next season is just like, oh yeah, by the way, Shield crashed, so now you're in charge, and it's this huge thing, and
that to me, that's when the show got really good. The whole thing when they changed over after the events of Captain America: Civil War, and Shield was essentially dissolved, and they were sort of fugitives, but they were running in secret, trying to do what Shield would normally do.
Yeah, but then you have like two different Shields going on at the same time.
I mean, I think all that just made the show better, because when everything was just sort of status quo, and Shield was just this government agency and just doing the right thing all the time, and that I just didn't think it worked as well. Now that their Shield is, I mean, in the show they're sort of back in normal status, but they're still on the secretive side more so than they were.
Yeah. See, I never cared about Shield itself. I more so cared about like the characters, and like I really enjoyed like the the mystery about like Tahiti, and like everything that was going on with Coulson, and then they kind of like and because they were they brought in the whole thing with, I think it was the Kree. And that's how he was brought back, and I was like, oh hey, that's really nerdy and cool, like awesome. But then I don't know, everything just got like way too big, and I think they doubled down on the Inhumans too early and too fast. Like, I mean, I think it would have been good, to do a portion of that to introduce it into the new series and let that be its own thing. But
I like the Inhumans aspect in the show. Some of it isn't always executed well, but what a great thing about having that in the show is that you add more superpowered characters, and that's what I want in my superhero shows: characters that have superpowers. And one of the reasons Shield was in the beginning for me not as great is because, again, nobody had any powers. You had them dealing with people that had some sort of powers in some way early on. But as the show progressed, they added in regulars who had powers and abilities to the team, especially with the Sky becoming Daisy, being Quake.
That I really didn't like at all.
Well, all right, let's not get into all that. I like it. It's good. It's worth watching. We could talk on end about this.
Yeah.
I have notes for Shield's episode if you really want to hear them. But what else do I got here? So this was an interesting one. Diane Lane, who plays Martha Kent in the Batman vs Superman movie.
The most pivotal character in all the DC universe because her name is Martha. Go on.
Yes, exactly. She was on some show called What Happens Live with Andy Cohen.
Oh, okay.
No idea what this is. But anyway, she was asked if she could reveal Justice League spoilers and if the film would be better than the Avengers. And her reply was, No and no. Short but honest. I hate to disappoint.
Wow. I appreciate that.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for confirming everything I already knew.
It's just so sad that she's so quick to dismiss.
Yeah.
Now people are out there wanting to say that this is not what she meant, and I looked it up recently again, and comicbook.com apparently got a clarification statement from her representative, not from her.
Wait, can I guess the quote? It's like her representative said she meant to say no, and of course not. It's going to be dog shit. Thank you. No further questions.
Wouldn't that be? I mean, at least that would take some balls.
Oh yeah.
But no, of course they're going to give this answer. They said, quote, Diane meant sorry to disappoint in reference to revealing anything concerning Justice League that is not already out in the public, and was declined to comment on a film, Avengers, that she has not seen. She is thrilled to continue her role as Martha Kent and appreciates your excitement for Justice League. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to clarify this.
Oh, the other meaning of the word no.
But this is such like a generic, like, oh no, of course she didn't mean the movie was bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, she's not saying the movie's bad. The first Avengers was a great movie. So maybe she's saying like, oh, it's not great. It's good. You'll like it. You won't hate that you spent that money. It's like the Fast and the Furious movies. It's not good, but you'll enjoy it.
No, yeah, of course. It definitely doesn't have to be as good as the Avengers to be a good movie, because Avengers was just excellent, and that's definitely one of the higher end of the superhero movies that we've gotten. But there's no reason that Justice League should so easily be dismissed as to not be as good as the Avengers, and that's sad. And that I don't believe that. I don't believe the nonsense that they're saying, like, oh, she was just dismissing the fact that she couldn't say anything. She specifically said no and no, like she was answering two questions. So that doesn't give me very much confidence in this Justice League movie if she's so quick to do like, oh no, it's not going to be better than the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, not even, apparently, according to this quote, not even knowing what the Avengers is. They're saying that she didn't. That actually makes it worse, saying that she didn't know what the Avengers movie was. She hadn't seen it.
What if she was comparing it to the Ralph Fiennes Uma Thurman Avengers movie from like the 90s?
I mean, that just makes it.
She's like, oh, the one with
worse.
Sean Connery is the supervillain that can control the weather?
Yes, of course it won't be as good as that movie.
Yeah, of course not. That movie was like so like okay.
That's the finest upper echelon of cinema that we have.
Yeah. Oh my god. But this we'll know definitively what she truly meant when we watch the next Man of Steel movie, and instead of where like Martha is taken by Lex Luthor and and Superman, and he's just like, all right, Superman, if you want your mother back, and he's like, I'm good. I'm good. Actually, do you need help? Like, I can work the midsection if you want. It's just Batman. It's like Batman and Superman versus Martha. Like, it's just them like wailing on her. Just like,
it's just so mean, Brian.
I'm not the one who said the movie wasn't as good as the Avengers. I'm just saying, if that's how that movie goes, then we'll know definitively if that's what she meant.
So I suppose, let's see, we can move on. We can talk about a few trailers that we had. Some of these we could have spoken about last week, but we just didn't remember to speak about them. And one of them was this week. So I guess we'll go back and we'll start with, we were just talking about DC. Let's go to Wonder Woman.
All right. Let us go Wonder Woman.
We had the final trailer for the Wonder Woman movie. And this trailer is, I mean, it's a lot like the other ones. It's not too far off from what we've got. A lot of the same footage. We do get a few more, a couple more action shots. Some of the good things I could say about this is that the action does look interesting.
Yeah.
I am excited for some of that.
Yeah, it's, I mean, like, just, first glance at the trailer, it's, it's like most of the DC movies with the exception of Suicide Squad, where it's just going to be nice to look at. Like, and that's not a comment on, like, Gal Gadot just being nice to look at. I mean, like, the movie itself, even though she's quite lovely and, debatable talent, but, like, the movie itself, like, the composition of how it's shot. It's gonna look beautiful. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of like beautiful shots in Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
That's really just kind of what they're.
Well, I think this
going
movie
for.
looks better than both of those movies.
Oh, no,
as far
completely.
as just the aesthetic of the film and the fact that it's not, of course, this dark, dreary, faded out look all the time.
Yeah,
There's daytime shots in this.
yeah, which
A good amount.
little
of it.
a little terrifying.
Yeah,
You
but
know, they're like that they let the sun come out.
right.
But most of that, if you notice, most of that was all in Themyscira.
Yeah. I mean, well, they're in, I guess, London, which is always kind of dreary,
Yeah.
but doesn't look as dreary as Batman vs Superman.
No, that's very true.
Now, there is a sequence in this trailer and all the trailers that I pointed out to you, that there's a sequence that's takes place in the night. It's very, very dark, this sequence.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's the finale of the movie.
Yeah.
And every time I see these shots from this, like, it doesn't look good at all. It looks like a fake darkness,
Yeah.
which it probably is. I know that they do that in a lot of movies, but
But what if it's intentionally a fake darkness and the villain is blocking out the sun? Like she
entirely
teams
possible.
Yeah, she teams up with Mr. Burns, and Wonder Woman ends up having to team up with Maggie Simpson to end the whole thing.
Yeah, but I'm really worried about the ending of this movie because what we see leading up to this conflict, and that looks like the final conflict in the movie, where she's doing much more. There's like some lightning effect that she's blocking with her bracers, and we had that other shot where it looks like she's flying briefly, and there's all that debris underneath her that's sort of floating away, and the rock, the ground that she's on. I mean, she must be fighting the final CG boss Ares.
Yeah.
And who we're not going to see until the end of the movie. We briefly get to see the actor playing him now.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I'm worried about that. I'm very worried.
I mean, I'm worried about most of it, but just, I mean, it's
Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to fit the rest of the movie. Like, because imagine if Captain America, the first Avenger, ended with some big, epic CGI fight.
yeah,
It wouldn't fit that movie.
yeah, which, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm as somebody who is like a comic fan and has enjoyed a lot of these characters, since I was a kid, watching, like the Linda Carter show and stuff. Like, I genuinely want this to be a good movie. Like I really
Yeah.
do, because if for no other reason I get to enjoy 2 hours. Another reason is it could be a turning point for the DCU.
Right.
I don't have much faith in it. The trailer's really
No.
not helping.
My expectations are set to minimum right now.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, hope and expectation are two completely different things.
Sure.
And I just, I have a lot of one and not much of the other.
I mean, I hope it's good because I'm going to see it because I watch all of these movies. So
Yeah.
if I have to sit through it, I want it to be good.
Okay. But in full disclosure, Carl,
Uh-huh.
you have not watched all of them in their entirety.
What did I not watch?
Suicide Squad.
Well, I eventually did. I actually I have not seen that movie straight through.
Oh, you
it.
had you did finish it?
Yes, I did. I guess let me let everybody know that I walked out of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, also maybe mention that you also didn't pay for Suicide Squad.
Right.
You walked out on a free movie.
Exactly. Yep.
You're like, I have nothing to lose and nothing to gain.
It was a moment where I was like, I could be doing something better with my time right now.
It's like I could just not be here.
I could be spending money on something.
I am going to avoid this free entertainment.
Yeah, I did finish. I did go and watch the rest of it, but boy, was that movie just not. It's not worth watching in any way at all.
It's just and I hope and it doesn't look like Wonder Woman is going to do that. Fall into this trope that like so many of the superhero movies, even ones that I do love, fall into, is that so much of the conflict could just be avoided by inaction.
Right.
I completely understand with the first Iron Man, where Tony Stark essentially creates the villain out of like a moment of desperation, where he creates the original Iron Man suit in the Middle East, and then I mean I assume that everyone who's
Right, yeah.
listening to this has seen the movie, But it's something that they're like, okay, so we're gonna have the hero create the villain in in almost all the other movies.
I mean, that's a typical story trope for almost any comic book story.
Yeah, but it can be done really well, like with Iron Man, or it can be done really poorly with like Age of Ultron, or with the worst or best example is Suicide Squad, where all Waller has to do is not be a piece of shit and stab that heart thing, and then like you have no conflict throughout the whole movie, and then you have your
all
team.
All you had to do was not create the Suicide Squad, and the movie wouldn't have, none of the incidents would have happened in that movie.
I'm totally cool with them creating the Suicide Squad. All they have to do is just not torture like the demon goddess, who is clearly more powerful than you.
Who you clearly had absolutely no control over.
No. All you have to do is don't do that. And you can still get like Killer Croc and Harley Quinn, and Deadshot and all of them. You can get all of them, and you can still put like the bomb chip in their neck and do everything, and have them go after other supervillains, and you have a much more compelling movie, in my opinion. Where you have maybe have them, go after.
There's a ton of things that this movie could have done better.
No, Carl, this conversation is going to save that movie. We have to have it.
We could rewrite that movie for them and make a better movie, and it wouldn't be that hard.
My dog could.
Yeah.
It's also really impressive that my dog can write.
Yeah,
and that's not being facetious.
More believable than anything in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to say about the
Wonder
Woman trailer is, again, the third time in a row, we don't get a lot of Gal Gadot saying stuff as Wonder Woman.
No, but I did notice something somewhat superficially about that, which actually was a point that I wanted to make, and I didn't mention while we were watching the trailer before we started recording, is because I was like, okay, I can't say everything I want to say, or else we don't have anything for the podcast. I think it's weird that because you hear other people on Themyscira talk, and they all have just like American accents, and then she has her.
No, actually, I noticed in the other movies that the mother and the one that she's fighting in training shot are doing Gal Gadot's accent.
Really?
Yes, they are.
Because it sounded like Hippolyta just had a regular accent.
Maybe she's not getting it all the time.
Yeah.
But they are they're like, you need to speak like Gal Gadot.
They're like, okay, she can't pull off like the fake Nadia nondescript accent.
Yeah.
So.
Which is funny because like Gal Gadot is obviously not a good enough actress to speak in whatever the way they want her to. So like, hey, everybody else, you guys need to step it up and speak like her.
Yeah.
In her I really hate her accent. I just can't stand it.
I mean, in all honesty, it would make more sense to give her a Greek accent. Something
like
like Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Because that's
So it does make sense that she has some form of an accent. These characters would have some different kind of accent. But then why would they speak English? I don't know. So, none of it. You can argue all of that, but it never really matters because why are the characters speaking English to begin with? So.
Yeah.
But the thing that the contrast that I want to give on that is that I see her in this and she speaks a few lines, but she never really shows any personality to me.
Yeah.
And just recently there was a Spider-Man Homecoming clip, right? Mm-hmm. With a little trailer thing. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah.
Where Spider-Man comes in the window, he's climbing, and his friend sees him there.
Yeah.
And they show how that plays out, and that was in the other trailer a little bit. Actually, one little touch I liked was when he goes in the window and he uses his foot to close the window.
Oh, yeah.
That was just a neat little, Spider-Man would definitely do that.
Yeah.
He's climbing on the roof and then closing the window with his foot.
Yeah.
But you see Zendaya's character
mm-hmm.
in that, and there's a brief little back and forth with her and Peter where she's like, where are you going? And she's like asking these questions. He's trying to answer. She's like, no, I don't really care what you do. In that moment right there, I am much more interested in her and her character than I am as Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'm more interested, but I'm definitely more clear on, the personality.
Right. How does that happen? How does your lead character in your movie never exude and give me any example of what her personality is really going to be in the trailers?
I mean, okay, devil's advocate, I can chalk that up to a bad edit of a trailer, where...
Of course, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, because maybe, they're leaving anything that's compelling like character-wise on the cutting room
Or
floor.
maybe there is nothing compelling to use.
I mean, given everything that we've seen from every other DC movie, with the exception of some of the stuff of Ben Affleck as Batman, there really isn't much compelling about it. Like,
there aren't any compelling actor moments in these
Yeah.
movies. Chris Pine looks great though.
Yeah.
I get his personality in the movie. I'm looking forward to his character in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris Pine, I think is definitely becoming like a very Harrison Ford type actor, where you hire him to play Chris Pine. Very much where like you hire Harrison Ford to play Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Which is totally cool. Like I have yet to see Chris Pine in something where I have not enjoyed him.
Yeah.
I've seen movies that I haven't enjoyed, but I still enjoy him. And I think that's kind of a really bad move on DC's part, or the whoever's producing the DCU, to basically cast supporting characters that are much more compelling than.
Yeah, Chris Pine's gonna steal this movie.
Mhm.
It's obvious, plain based on these trailers. He's
Yeah.
gonna be the best character in the movie,
Yeah.
and that's I mean it is what it is at this point. And I don't. It bothers me that he is playing a character that is in a time period where he can't actually be in the rest of the DC universe.
Yeah.
He's gonna either have to die, or he just dies of old age because they have to go to the modern time.
Or
Here we go.
what they could do, and this is completely out of left field, totally original thought, making up as I go. There's a scene where he's fighting alongside Wonder Woman on a train, right? Now follow me. And there's an explosion, and like he's flung out of the train, and she tries to save him, but he falls into this like ravine, right? Okay.
Sounds like something I've never heard before.
Yeah. So then, like, he's knocked unconscious, and then, whoever the bad guy in this movie is finds him, and, like takes him and like rebuilds him, and, maybe one of his arms are missing, and they give him like a robot arm, and then like, they just put him in like hibernation, and then he wakes up whenever they need him to do a job, and then he shows up in the future, and then, and then they like reconnect.
And maybe they call him like, I don't know, the Summer Soldier.
Yeah, so I mean,
I'm not sure if that's the right
because it's
season
not,
I'm picking for that.
Yeah, because I mean it's kind of hard to tell because everything's kind of bleak, and it looks like everything's kind of like dying off. So maybe it's more like a wintry thing, like the wintry lieutenant.
All right.
Yeah.
But
the winter pilot.
There you go.
The summer pilot, we have it.
The
summer pilot.
I love it. It's perfect.
Yes.
It's never been done before.
No.
It's a fresh idea. It's not at all like any other movie.
No,
that
it's completely
takes place in another world war with another superhero character who
Yeah.
also wears American colors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Chris Pine.
But I watched the crap
needs
out of
to, yes.
It'd be so ridiculous.
Chris Pine should have been a major character in these years. He should be Green Lantern. He should be Hal Jordan,
Yeah.
Green Lantern. And that's it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
The Defenders trailer we had. This is a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed all the Netflix shows, some
Yeah.
more than others, but all of them are solid, well-made shows, good performances all around for most
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, all of them have good rewatch value.
Yeah, the action did suffer in, I would say, Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Yeah, which is surprise. Like Luke Cage, I would almost expect the action to suffer, somewhat similar to how I would expect it to suffer in like Jessica Jones, where you
Right.
do have like, because they're not going to be doing like the really
Yeah.
big like acrobatic fighting that you would expect for like Daredevil, Elektra, Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Iron
Now-
Fist was kind of disappointing. In that.
Yeah, some of the action sequences were okay. There was a couple things like I sort of thought that they were going for a more fluid fighting style where he was supposed to be so good that it looked effortless to him.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of lazy action sequences. And actually I read something about that saying that they gave them almost no time to rehearse these, which is really shocking.
Yeah, it was like weeks, I think.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's like something like that. This, they said
Yeah.
they hadn't even rehearsed it. Like, they'd go and they're like, all right, we're
No,
gonna
like
rehearse and then we're gonna shoot or something like that.
no, because I had heard that they gave him, I think it was like 2 weeks of like training, and then
Yeah, but I mean rehearsal for the specific action sequences.
yeah, it's probably like the day of.
But
like,
yeah, which is not enough time for the way the like, level of action or the grandiose nature that they wanted some of these to be that didn't ever work out.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're getting into
yeah.
the shows, but the Defenders trailer, which again with the action I'm expecting to be better because it's only an 8-episode series. The trailer was excellent.
Yeah.
The song choice right away. I'm like, oh, perfect, just awesome. And it was like a different little mix of that song. It was a Nirvana song.
Come As You Are.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Really good choice. We get to see, every character just being awesome in some way. Looking, I want to see these characters interact. I'm so excited. The moment where Jessica Jones is being interrogated by the policewoman.
Misty Knight.
Yeah, Misty Knight's character, and then
Matt Murdock.
Matt Murdock walks in. I'm like, I just can't wait to see this interaction. Like, I love this set.
Yeah.
I love those are my favorites. Jessica Jones and
Daredevil. Yeah, like there was a point where I thought that Iron Fist might supplant Jessica Jones as one of my favorites, like number 2, but there was so much about the storytelling that I thought was kind of weak at points that knocked it down. That I still, that I still put Jessica Jones almost tied with Daredevil.
Yeah, I really love Jessica Jones, and there was the action in that. Of course, I didn't mention before. It's not like it was bad. It was just it wasn't intended to have big action sequences. So there were a few that were cool, but that was never the intention of that show.
Yeah, but yeah, especially like with her fighting, her fighting style. It's very similar to what you would expect for like a Luke Cage, where like it doesn't need to be this grandiose fight. Right. You're super strong, you're invulnerable, so why are you going to be doing all these flips when you can just literally just punch someone?
Right, and also her main villain wasn't a physical threat.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Now this trailer, there's a moment with Luke Cage and Iron Fist, which I really love. Iron Fist just wailing on him. He's like, why can't I hurt you? And then he obviously busts out the Iron Fist and punches him in the face, and obviously it's not going to hurt him, it's not going to kill him, but I hope it does affect him.
Oh yeah, like I hope he definitely has like he's like, do that, like almost like a do that again kind of thing.
I would hope more of that, because here's the thing: if they don't have a more significant effect, he needs to actually knock him out with that, just not actually, kill him or anything, because a punch to the face from that should kill you.
Yeah.
But in Jessica Jones, Luke Cage gets a shotgun to the face, right?
Yeah.
But to like underneath his jaw, and he's knocked out from that.
That's
and there's
right,
that whole sequence where he has like brain hemorrhaging, swelling, and they need to figure out a way to get the swelling down so he doesn't die. So I'm like, the punch from the Iron Fist should be stronger than a shotgun blast to the face. I would hope, or at least somewhat equivalent.
Yeah.
So I hope that he knocks him out somewhere from that.
It should be way more. It should be way more.
It should be way more, yeah.
than a shotgun, because Iron Fist, he punches through like a solid like reinforced metal door.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it should be like, oh yeah, this is definitely, the equivalent of like getting hit by a truck.
So I would hope that scene plays out in a way like he figures out that he's indestructible, so he Iron Fists him and he knocks him out and he's like, oops.
Yeah. And then there's just like this awkward scene where like he's just laying on the ground unconscious, and then like Jessica Jones has to like throw him over her shoulder.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, now we're just gonna be disappointed when none of this happens.
All right, that's it. We have to take to Twitter and ask them to just do an insert shot.
So we also get to see Elektra is going to be in this.
Yeah.
Who looks like she's probably one of the main villains. Yeah. And we get to see, there's a shot where you see her punching Daredevil through a wall. So I'm imagining her coming back. Somehow she's gotten more abilities. She's stronger. Yeah. She's got a costume now, which looks pretty good. You don't get a great, perfect shot of it.
But like just enough to see where it's like it's faithful to the comic. In as much as any of the suits that you see are, and then, but it's still like grounded and...
Yeah. And then there's that shot where of course you get another hallway fight scene.
Yeah.
But this one, I'm excited for how these are going to play out, because to see them all like taking a little moment in that fight, and they all get their little hits in on one of the little bad guys coming at them. It's just great to see them working together. But in that scene, because I'm watching that, I didn't notice when we watched it the second time.
Yeah.
We saw that Electro's actually walking
up
in the hallway.
Just so casually.
Yeah, just super casual behind them while they're doing this. And like, oh man, I can't wait to see, like, do they not know she's there? And she's just gonna she's gonna start kicking their ass. So
yeah,
that'll be fun. Sigourney Weaver's in it. Yeah. That's one of the bad guys.
The main.
I don't know what.
Bad guy
yeah, I don't know what she's going to do. If she's going to have command of any sort of supernatural power or army or technology or who knows.
I mean, I imagine, just given how all the other shows have gone, she's probably tied in with the Hand somehow. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been disappointed by any of the Marvel shows. Yeah, even though like there's, you know, like we said, there's some stuff in Iron Fist that I wasn't crazy about, but
yeah, if you're a fan of Marvel superhero stuff or superhero stuff in general, and these shows are good quality, well-made shows, good characters, good acting, you know, and of course sometimes they falter, but that's how every show. There's no show that's perfect. Every episode is not good in every show.
The Flash.
Yeah. Sure. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, The Flash is good in every episode.
So, okay, we got to move on.
Rebels. Star Wars Rebels, I have not seen a bad episode. But then again,
I can't say I would think anyone was bad, but yeah, anyway, that might be one.
Yeah.
So there was also a trailer for Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
Which is a movie that I'm interested, but my expectations are very tempered, because this Blade Runner was a good movie. I like this movie, but it's a very long time ago, and I don't know. I mean, I like the visual aesthetic of this trailer. It looks great. I mean, just like the original movie did.
Yeah.
And the director is I don't remember the name. It's the director of Arrival.
Arrival, yeah.
And Arrival was an excellent movie, visually done really well, sound done really well.
Yeah.
The director obviously did a great job with that. I mean, when I saw it, I think he was nominated for Best Director possibly for that movie. But I remember walking out of Arrival and thinking, like, this movie's gonna be nominated for Best Picture, and it was.
Yeah. It was an incredible
Best
movie.
Direction, I think.
I think, I mean, not to get on a whole tangent about Arrival, but Arrival they did probably my favorite thing that they do that, like, really good movies do, that I think the first time I actually, like, noticed or quantified it was with Jurassic Park, where they just kind of looked at it and they were like, I feel like I've made this comment before, maybe just you or in the podcast, but where basically they're just like, okay, we have a really compelling story, one that we want to tell and we really care about. It's gonna depend on effects, you know, and they have the route where they're like, okay, should we push the effects as far as we can go and hope that they work, or see what we can do and work within that? And I feel like that's what they did with Arrival, where they're like, you know, because it could have been a movie where they really like leaned in on, you know, like the special effects, but everything they did, it just seemed like, okay, we're gonna do stuff that we could have done, you know, convincingly like 5-10 years ago, and we're gonna use that because we know it's gonna work and it's going to aid this story. We're not gonna try and make it be anything more than it needs to be, you know. And I think that, you know, where they did that and they didn't make it a crutch for the story, and I thought that was great. And I thought, like, I love the execution, I love the acting. Like, you can't go wrong with Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Yeah, well, unless it's Batman or Superman. And
she
Amy
was
Adams is not good in that movie. She's not bad, but the characters, the writing, it's anyway.
She can only do so much with what she's given.
Exactly. So that's what really excites me for this movie, actually, more than anything, is that director being attached to this. I feel like they definitely got the right director for this.
I think there's a lot that excites me about it. The thing that does not excite me the most about it is that it's a Blade Runner movie. Because I wasn't a fan of the original. Like, you know, I didn't actually watch it until I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
Like, because it was a movie that I remember knowing about when I was younger, and just hearing friends talk about it was just being a bad movie, and they just didn't like it and it was dumb. So I never gave it a shot because I was a kid, and also it was like the 80s and 90s, and, you know, it was not always trivial to get your hands on, you know, a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie. It's a movie that, for its time, did something the style that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah. Aesthetically, it's great.
Yeah, so that's what it does the best. But I don't know. I found it interesting. I like the characters in it. The conflict was good. You know, the way in the end of the movie, you don't know. You can argue either way if Deckard was a replicant or wasn't a replicant.
But aren't there like 4 different endings?
Yeah, I know. The director's cut, I guess, is the definitive one, which sort of more implies that he is a replicant than anything.
But then that's something they have to address with this is which ending they're following.
That's true, right? Yeah, well, we'll find out when we see the movie, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if the movie answers questions, it could just, say, screw you, we're not answering any questions, and we're going to give you more questions. Like, is Ryan Gosling a replicant?
Yes.
Because I wasn't watching this trailer. I think he might be.
Yeah.
Or he might.
I would like it if he's like the next he's like the Deckard Model A, where he's just like, or like Deckard Model like 1.0, where he's just like the next, he's like basically Deckard but like just the next variation of it. Like that would be kind of cool,
Yeah, and you had the idea while we were watching the trailer that there could be, maybe there's we see that somebody breaking through the wall and we can't tell who that is. We think it could be either Ryan Gosling or your idea.
Yeah.
If you want to tell us.
Oh yeah, that it's a young Deckard replicant, just like busting through, and that the old Harrison Ford is like the human Deckard. So there's both a human Deckard and a replicant Deckard, and that answers both of the fan theories.
Yeah, that would be a good way to do it. In that, hey, guess what? Both of you, everyone was either wrong and everyone was also right.
Yeah. So you have
it was both.
Yeah, it's like everybody gets, everybody wins, but knowing fandom, they're like, no, I was still more right.
Yeah, right. Because
he's old, so yeah, he was human in the first one. They're like, no, it was both.
And I like Ryan Gosling as the lead.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling as someone who I only started liking because of the movie The Nice Guys. If you haven't seen The Nice Guys, I highly recommend everyone and anyone watch The Nice Guys.
Yeah.
It is that Lethal Weapon buddy cop type movie.
Yeah.
Just a great duo of him and Russell Crowe. Oh man, I mean that movie. It's just fun. It's just, the action is good, the story is good, the characters are all good. Everybody watch that movie.
Yeah.
It's a hidden gem that did not do well enough.
Yeah. I don't know, because I still have to get to that movie, but I did enjoy him a lot in Drive.
See, I didn't really like Drive. He does that thing in that movie where he doesn't really speak a lot, doesn't answer a lot of questions. He speaks very short lines all the time for some reason.
He's very laconic in it.
Yeah.
But I remember describing the movie to people as like, if John Hughes made a very brutal revenge movie, that would be Drive.
Okay. Let's go with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like the movie.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It did well. People like that movie.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me.
Well, yeah, maybe it should be, Carl. Maybe it should.
It's not going to ever be.
No, I know.
It had interesting music choices. I remember in that movie.
Yeah, I did enjoy the soundtrack, which I think a lot of that is where my comment of describing it as a John Hughes movie. Mm-hmm. Because I think he would always write to the soundtrack, and I get the impression that the soundtrack was very integral, just to this. So.
All right, so I guess at this point we've gone on for quite a while.
Yeah.
What I'll do is, this will be the episode, and because we're going to talk about the TV shows. We'll do that, but if you don't want to listen to that part, if you don't want to have the spoilers of the TV shows, this has been The Superhero's Journey, episode 1, and of course I'm Carl Freeman.
I'm Brian Shores.
Please write us on Twitter at Superhero Journey, no E in super, and write to also on the email superheroesjourney@gmail.com, where heroes is plural, not possessive. So thanks for listening, and we'll go into our TV spoiler section now.